Hi, this is TheChibiDen and welcome to my review of Tonari no Kaibutsu Kun episode 11. I have to say, this episode was a blast. It was hilarious at sides, especially in the beginning and the ending. It had great comedy across the board, and it got really psychological and philosophical in some parts, which I really loved. So, the episode starts with parallel stories of Yamaken and him mainly thinking about himself, which gets really funny at parts because he reveals that his personality is a little bit more tsundere that he lets other people realize. And then we have Haru and Shizuku in the school the morning after they had lessons in the academy, and they're just sharing pictures about the Christmas party and whatnot, and just having fun. Which they have really good jokes about that one too, especially about how they're realizing that their crushes are getting complicated. Anyways, these two stories intertwine when Yamaken meets Shizuku at the entrance of this academy that they're going to after school, and he goes to kind of move her to the side because she was gonna run to a bike, and to do this he grabs her by the shoulder, and Haru, who is hiding under stuff, sees this and gets mad, and he hits him, whatnot. Haru and Shizuku fight, and then a couple more things happen. But as they walk off, what's important in that scene is that Shizuku starts reflecting about how Haru still acts like the way he acts, how even after the confession and everything he's not secure enough and everything, and she goes to the conclusion of her thinking that if she only does her part on their relationship won't work because it's only her. And this is important because she thinks that he is at fault first. Anyways, they go on and they go to a new scene where Yamaken and Shizuku start talking before class. In the conversation, the fact that Yamaken should stay away from Haru kind of appears, that he'll get hurt or anything because of Haru's attitude and how he's so aggressive and whatnot. And the thing is that while she's saying and everything like this, Yamaken starts realizing more and more that his crush on Shizuku is a little more than he thought, because he unconsciously starts flirting with her. He can't stop looking or thinking about it, and it builds up to him just getting worried about this because he just can't understand it. It clashes with his way of thinking. They finish the classes in the academy, and then they move to a funny scene where Yamaken gets lost again in his way out, and he finds Haru, who just alone in the park, kind of reminiscing about a couple things. And this was really cool because they finally get to explain a little bit about how Haru and Yamaken had a past together, and apparently they had a past all the way back to kindergarten, and they knew each other. And also how Yamaken perceived Haru, and how he was not exactly his friend, but mostly the only person that would accept Haru's way of being. He was just not afraid of how he was aggressive, because he was kind of indifferent, but I mean, that was different from all the other people, so I guess that's why they have a relationship to begin with. After Haru leaves Yamaken at the bus stop, where he just takes a cab and Haru goodbyes him with a threat, which is really funny, they move on to a scene where Haru's just sitting on the little bus stop bench, and one of the interesting things is that he starts reminiscing about his brother Yusan and how the relationship they had, and how apparently they moved houses at one point and they moved from a place to the other. This leads to his brother kind of hating him because for some reason this had to do with him, or at least his brother thought that it had to do with him. All of this builds up to making him feel really bad and kind of stay in a dark place, I guess. And you can see this in his face and his expression, how they're showing him. And the important thing is that just as he's starting to think about this, Shizuku just bumps into him and arrives out of nowhere, and he ends up calling her his hero because every single time that he's in a dark place and things start looking bad again, she appears. That's pretty much for the end of the episode. They just reconcile, But Shizuku notices that they're not exactly in sync because how she thought that she was expressing and making him feel loved and cherished is not exactly working, or at least not for both parts. The last thing they show though is something interesting. They show a cliffhanger practically of Natsume going into the batting center looking for Michan. Well, not exactly, just looking at the batting center, so that gives us a little bit to think for next episode. I have to say I'm way more impressed with the series as it's going on. It's really growing up to be a really amazing series, and I have to say it's awesome how they're doing the character progression. It's awesome how they're really upping their comedy a lot. They're really working on having these really funny jokes specific to the situation that they have at the moment. Another thing that I love is that they're paying attention to details so much, and I love that. They're not forgetting anything in their plots, and they're leaving really subtle messages about how the characters are progressing, like Natsume's crush on Michan, or how the relationship between Haru and Shizuku is getting more complicated, or something that I didn't mention when I was talking about the stories, that Yu-chan, which is Oshima's friend, which they haven't really revealed much about, just for example, is standing on a couple scenes in the episode, and she's just standing there next to Yamaken. But Yamaken at this point, and in the whole episode, he's just thinking of himself about the crush with Shizuku, and how this is not possible. It's clashing with his thinking, how this way of being that he thinks that he should be or is, and he's thinking so hard about this that he's like making faces and stuff. And the presence of Yu-chan is she just stares at him because a complete stranger, and he realizes that he's starting to make weird faces of people looking at him, and he just walks away. But I just like how they use this little mechanic to introduce this new character a little bit more, and that's cool, although we don't know much about her yet. But anyways, also how they're being a little psychological in between their relationships, because I like how they're sticking a lot to the idea of, or at least how I think it should be in reality, because you don't really get to know all the things about someone in one go. Especially in this series, you're trying to deal with stuff, even though the characters are impulsive and they're all really socially awkward and inadequate. All of them. All of them. For example, Haru's and Shizuku's relationships, like she say, I thought I knew him completely, but it's not like you're gonna know a person completely in a month or 2 months or 3 months, even maybe a lifetime. Another point of their storytelling that I'm really liking is the use of analogies. How they had one for Shizuku last time, and this time they have one with Haru that is about a Japanese folktale where he basically explained that he thinks that Shizuku is his silken thread of the hope of kind of escaping the idea he had of himself in the past, that aggressive child that was ostracized by a lot of people and was not accepted by anyone, and even though he now has friends and everything, he's having a lot of trouble keeping up with this process of becoming normal. And of this process of becoming normal is his way of being still with Shizuku. Anyways, that's been it for the episode. Thank you so much for watching. By all means, like, share, and subscribe, and please comment if you like the episode, if you like this video, on anything really. Have an awesome day and take care. Goodbye.
Chicken.